don't know, I'm so nervous. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Diana here. Today we are gonna talk about my March monthly wrap-up. I read 9 books and DNF'd one, and it was so hard to DNF. And one of the books was an ARC book. So let's get into it. First, let's get into the book I DNF'd. I DNF'd Long Bright River by Liz Moore. Now, this is my first book by Liz Moore. And the show just came out and I wanted to watch the show so bad because all of my coworkers were saying the show is super good. So I was like, I need to read the book before the show because we read before we read the book before the show or the movie because that's who we are, So I was 10% in. I was like, I am so not feeling this book. And I left it on my Kindle, purchased the audio version of it. I was like, let me listen to it. Maybe it'll help. And guess what? It did not help. I was like, okay, 20% in. I was going back and forth between the Kindle and then the audiobook, thinking like I would like it more. It just did not budge. I was like, this is torture. This is torture for me. I'm not enjoying the book. And there's nothing wrong to DNF a book if you're not vibing with the plot or any of the characters. This has nothing to do with the author or anything. It was just me. Like I was not vibing with it. The book essentially is about a police officer who became a police officer because her sister is a drug addict. And she's solving crimes. I believe it was set in Philadelphia. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. So I was like, that sounds something good. Like I love reading stuff like that because thriller is my favorite genre and it's supposed to be thriller mystery. But I was not given any of that. So I had to DNF it. I read like 100 pages of it and that's a lot for me because I couldn't do it anymore. The arc is called Only Lovers in the Building. And thank you, NetGalley, for approving for me to read that. It's supposed to come out July 15 and I'm so excited for you guys to read it. However, I gave it 3.5 stars. Not because I did not like it. I enjoyed it a lot. It gave me all the summer vibes that I'm looking for this summer. I'm actually looking for books that give me those type of vibes. Like just summery, cool, rom-com vibes in the beach, just quick, nice reads. And it did give me that. However, let's go back. The book essentially is about Lily, who is a lawyer. Lily is a lawyer and she's been a lawyer for a long time. She devoted her life for her company and her practice. However, she was in a work trip to Miami, and then that's when she was like, I cannot do this for the life of me. So she decided to take a sabbatical from her work, and that is when she stayed in Miami. However, because her staying in Miami was sudden, so, like she had to look for a place, and her staying in Miami was sudden, so she had to look for a place. And when she did, they told her it was not going to be ready for like a couple hours. So she went to the rooftop of the complex that she rented a place. And then on the rooftop, there is like a bar. So she decided to stay there and wait when her apartment is ready. So that's when she met Ben. Ben is a bartender and also he is in a grad school. And then their relationship was so cute. However, it felt forced at times for me, which is why it got 3.5 rating instead of 4. At times it just felt like they were like just friends, not even best friends, you know what I mean? It felt forced at times for me, which is why I gave it this low rating. Other than that, the Miami vibes, like the whole book, it was super good and I highly recommend it if you're looking for summery vibes like that. So that was the art. Oh my gosh, you guys, these are like one of the amazing books I read this month. You guys can see there's Akatar there. I finally finished Akatar. Can you freaking believe it? Like, I've been a reader I gone through reading in my adult journey. I got into reading like 2 years ago, and I finally finished Akatar. You guys can see, like, I'm a fourth one girly for like through and through. And everyone was like, after Onyx Storm, I felt such hangover. You have no idea. So I devoured the whole series in the month of February. However, I was like, I can finish it in February, but I couldn't. And I finally finished A Court of Silver Flames. And this book, Cassian, he is easily one of my favorite book boyfriends. Easily. I freaking adore him. The way he handles Ness, so pure. Like, he's the type of boyfriend you want to date in real life. That's just my opinion. Like, he checks out every box for me as a girly who wants to be in a relationship. He checks out every box for me. He is so sweet with her, and the way he handles her, and then the way he talks to her, it just is so pretty. And I give it 5 stars, and it's easily my favorite book in this series. I loved it so much. And I also highly recommend the graphic audio. Highly recommend it. It's super, oh my gosh, like so hot. Like, imagine driving to work and listening to that. Imagine. So I loved it. And another book that I gave 5 stars, oh my gosh, March was so good. Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. This is the last book in the Magnolia's series, like Magnolia and BJ's story. I think there's 2 more in Daisy's, I'm not sure. Either 1 or 2 more. Don't quote me in that. But I was sobbing my eyes out every freaking chapter. I was like, Miss Jessa, what do you have in here? Like, why was I crying? Like, the emotionals were so real. They felt so real for me. I loved it so much. And then the ending, yes. It gave me everything that I needed in a book. Like, absolutely everything. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm so sad it finished. Like, I love this series so much, and Miss Jessa hasn't even written the last 2 books of Daisy Hates, and I love Daisy, and I love Magnolia, and Daisy is my best friend in my head, and I just love everything about this series, and I gave it 5 stars. Also, people have this idea of Magnolia Parks universe of being toxic, and I'm like, yeah, there's that, but there's so much more to it. There's literally so much more to it. There is mental health in here, like, oh my gosh, like OCD disorder, anxiety disorder. There's like so many mental aspects discovered. There are so many mental disorders in this book that needs to be like acknowledged. It's not just about toxicity. There is so much more to it. Please. I highly recommend this series if you're thinking about it, but you're like, oh no, I heard so much toxic stuff about it, so I'm not gonna read it. And no, there is so much more. Please do it. Please read it. And oh my gosh, I finally started the Just the Spring series. My best friend in real life, girl, she has been on my back to start this series since she read it last year. She was like, Dana, read it. Like, literally, you have no idea. And I finally did, and I'm like so happy I did. I love another 5 stars. Like, you can see that March was just immaculate. I gave it 5 stars as well. I'm gonna definitely gonna finish the whole series. I'm gonna start Heartless in April for sure. And I love Rhett. Even people have problems with the way he dressed and his hair, but people are like, ponytail in 2025. I'm like, yeah, that's still hot. And then him riding bulls, 10 out of 10. And speaking of cowboys, done and dusted. This is the first book of Blue Ranch series by Miss Layla Sage. Miss Girl knows how to write cowboy romance. They are like, it's super short, like 300 plus pages, and I finished it in one sitting. I could not let it down. The writing is so like, you can like read. For me, I'm a slow reader. Like, this is not my typical month. My typical month is 5 to 6 books, believe it or not, because I'm in nursing school, so I barely have time to read. I'm always studying. But I finished this in one sitting because it was super quick. Clementine, but she goes by Emmy, and it's by Luke Brooks, who is her brother's best friends. Her brother's best friends. That's my favorite freaking trope. And this was it about. That's all I'm gonna say. Read it. Read it. Another quick read I gave it 4 stars, Dowery of Blood by S.T. Gibson. And that was my first book. So it's everything I want. Everything I want in a book, it's in that book. Let me explain. The book is about the first bride of Dracula. And she talks about the way she loved him, the way he turned her. They talk about, oh my gosh, I need to start writing down my thoughts every freaking book I read, because I forget what they're about. Believe it or not, I forget right away. Even if they're memorable, I forget what they're about right away. All I remember from that book, that gave it 4.5 stars, not 4. I know I said 4 stars. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I enjoyed it a lot. It gave dark romance, it gave gothic, it gave creepy vibes. Like, it's just everything I want in a book, it's in that book. It gave dark romance, gothic, mystery. Like, honestly, it's just, the vibes are immaculate. And there's taboo in it in a way, but not really, but yes. Also, it's fantasy, romantasy at the same time. Like, it's just every genre that I enjoy reading, it's in that book. That's all I remember. And it's also about First Bride of Dracula. Please read it. It's super good. And it was like 290 pages, like not even 300 pages. It was super quick read, and I highly, highly recommend it. Of everything I want in a book, I read That's Not My Name. And I'm so mad I did not read that book sooner. I gave it 5 stars. Supposedly to be a thriller book, but the ending had me sobbing my eyes out. So the book is about a girl who went missing, and obviously the boyfriend is the first suspect. However, he did not do it. If anything, he's blaming for himself. How the last time they saw each other, apparently she wanted to settle down and he was not ready, so they broke up, and that's why she got out of the car in the middle of the night, and then after the next day she was nowhere to be found. The ending, I was not expecting the ending. It broke my heart. It's not what I wanted. And then the turns and twists of the book, I was like, I saw that coming, but I played myself. I did not see them coming at all, obviously. And I gave it 5 stars, and it's not on your TBR. I highly recommend it. I also read Nocticadia. I don't know, I have hard time saying that book title, but it's not that hard. It's just me. My tongue is twisted. English is not my first language, obviously. I've read it 5 stars. Another 5 stars. I know you guys. Another 5 stars. Can you believe it? March was marching, definitely. I gave it 5 stars. I mostly listened to it, and then the audiobook was so freaking good. That's how you do an audiobook. Please take notes. And it has my favorite trope. One of my favorite tropes. I have so many. One of my favorite tropes is student and professor. Now, please don't come at me. We don't judge here. Obviously, like in real life, that's absolutely disgusting. But in a book, it's so freaking cute. I need therapy. Yeah. Essentially, it's about a girl who lost her mother to an illness, and she gets accepted into this elite university so she can study about her mother's illness and find out what happened to her mother. And that's when she falls in love unexpectedly with her professor. And her professor, Dr. Bramwell, if you're out there, I'm gonna need you to teach me. That's all I'm gonna say. The book was super good and I highly recommend it. Lastly, I read The Girls of... What did I read? What's the name? Okay, The Lake of Lost Girls. I don't know why I forgot, because I read so many thrillers this month. I'm mixing them all together. The book is about a bunch of girls in 1999 went missing and nobody ever found out what happened to them. They all were ruled to be like they ran away, but 20 years plus. Ugh. The sister of one of the missing girls decided to find out what happened to her sister, and that's when she decides to investigate. And then she decided to investigate because there's a podcast out there who's investigating her sister and making her look like one of the professors is obviously the main suspect, but her sister was not convinced. So she's trying to dig what happened to her sister that went missing. Listen, I gave the book 4.5 stars, and it was about a missing girl. One of the sisters of the missing girl decided to see what happens. That's all I'm gonna say. But I feel like with a thriller, if I give too much, it's gonna give away a twist that I don't want to give away. Also, I'm so bad at describing books. Also, I forget everything, even if the book was so good. Even if I give it 5 stars, I forget everything. Yeah. Alrighty, guys, that's all I read the month of March. I cannot wait to see you with another monthly wrap-up in April. There are so many good books coming out in April, you have no idea. I'm so excited. I hope you enjoyed today's videos. Please subscribe and like it. Leave a comment if you want to. You don't have to. Thank you. Bye-bye.